Hello and welcome everyone to our course Contemporary World Civilizations. I'm your instructor for today, Aysun, and we'll be talking about the last unit, which is about the civilization in the 21st century. After completing this chapter, you'll be able to recount the centrally rising civilizations of the world in the 21st century, identify the state of world civilizations in the 21st century, characterize the dynamics of the global and virtual societies of world civilization in the same century, apply knowledge of the global and virtual cultures to comprehend their impact on the overall performance of the world civilization today, summarize how global and virtual infrastructure contribute to the development of world civilization in the 21st century, and lastly, you'll be able to recognize the major trends and main events of today's world civilizations. So, before we start, I want to tell you that this is a quite important issue in understanding the century that we're living in. So, please be quite focused on what we're talking today. So, let's start with the 21st century and its essence. Typically, the development and elaboration of civilizations take a long time, and paradigmatic shifts between civilizations rarely occur. The Chinese civilization lasted 6,000 years. Even the relatively young Western civilization has flourished for 1,200 years. But now, in the 21st century, we're confronting the rise of two new civilizations. The first one is global and the next one is virtual. These civilizations are driven by rapidly developing information technology, with computer networks and smartphones supporting global commerce and social networking. And meanwhile, the speed of computing is accelerating. By about 2045, artificial intelligence or machine intelligence will probably equal or exceed human intelligence. You see that there are some robots and humans. They are just, the combination of humans and robots in this picture is given, and this may bring on singularity. Ray Kurzweil talked about this issue a lot, and a big bang for humanity as hybrid organism replace our human one, and we become robots. The world today encounters four extreme challenges. The first one is the transformation from Western civilization to global civilization. And the second one is the development of virtual civilization. Third one is the new great crisis, especially seen in the Western and the Eastern civilizations. And lastly, the possible clash of civilizations. At the end of the 20th century, the internet was pushing the development of the globalization wave. This wave led to the advance of the global economy, then to the free flow of information and the capital, and in many cases, the cross-border movement of experienced workers and executives. Due to the almost instant success of the internet, this globalization wave has been transforming into a global civilization, one which penetrates almost every other contemporary civilization. While the scope of this penetration differs from civilization to civilization, its highest presence is in the Western civilization. So here we have a table, and as you see the populations and the global virtual societies and their populations, can you see that the population of Facebook in 2017 is much more higher than the mostly populated country of the world, which is China. So when the world virtual was first introduced into information technology, it applied the memory simulated by computer. That is, memory not actually built into a processor's main memory, but rather located in online magnetic disks. More recently, the term has been applied to entities such as things, organizations, processes, and people that exist but are simulated using information technology. For example, we have virtual conversations. We can talk to anyone in other countries by using social networks. So that that explains how important using social networks here: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google. You see, there are millions, billions of people here. So today, the modern world enters a second great crisis of civilizations after the great crisis of civilization fell of the fall of Western Roman Empire in 476 CE. The present second crisis of civilization is going to occur because of the transformation of the Western civilization into a global civilization, and this will generate internal crisis in almost all dimensions of society. The paradox of the second great crisis of civilization is that it is invisible at first sight, so we can't see it at first. There is no global war, no major epidemics, or a grand planetary climate catastrophe. Yet, there is the fantastic development of the internet, which had led to a fast and vast information flow between masses of people representing all possible tribes, nations, and societies. This information traffic has reinforced the knowledge and augmentation potential of every individual, but it has also led to chaos and disinformation, radicalism, and populism. Thus, wisdom is atrophying. And here is the table again. You can see this table, and these are the major crises of the 21st century. Let's look at them. The first one is over communication. The second is super capacity, global businesses, crisis of religion, crisis of technology, food crisis, media crisis, political crisis. As you see, these are these are really big problems for the people of the 21st century. So we have to we have to overcome all of these crises, but it seems quite difficult for now. So the effects of transition and transformation in world civilization in the 21st century, we can say that as the world transitions from the older set of civilizations to the new and emerging ones, there are bound to be conflicts. When we analyze the rise of new civilizations, we should apply Arnold Toynbee's criteria for definitions of civilizations. One criterion is the faith of a civilization. The new civilizations are bringing with them secular beliefs, and the older civilizations are oftentimes secularizing the beliefs they do have. So look at this table here. You can see the comparison of global civilization and virtual civilization, and both of them have some beliefs and doctrines and dogmas. And when we look at the first global civilization, we can say that while the belief in gods and goddesses was once important, today the most successful mortals, inclusive of America's 400 mega billionaires, take on this role to a certain extent. And it's the same for the virtual civilization itself. This virtuality itself, this faith emphasizes unlimited freedom in cyberspace and progress supported by collective intelligence to secure common good in an alternative virtual world, since the real one is going in a wrong direction. In the 21st century, e-members can be in e-touch. The virtual civilization actually expands worldwide e-membership and bottom line opinions. And for the global civilization, there's one important thing here is given. You know, Martin Friedman is a very important writer and a thinker of the 21st century. He argues that the world is flat. That has a lot of, there are a lot of conflicts about this saying, but he says because the developing nations are going economically up and developed countries are going economically down. And there is the virtual doctrine is given again. A virtual doctrine is what keeps virtuality as a religion. As you see, both global civilization and virtual civilization is seen as the religions. They are quite powerful as the gods. So we should be quite careful about these both civilizations. It is practiced currently by billion or more devotees of and offers to world some gurus, among them billionaires who are owners of social networks. These men and women act as the high priests of virtuality. Okay, and the civilizing society or the world civilization in transformation in the 21st century, for the global society, there are some people who are called global elite. The founders of global civilization belong to the single global society. It is composed of an international elite group of the richest and the most powerful people in the world. And for the virtual society, it's based on social networking, and that is on any site that allows people a place on the internet from which to make connections, to create relationships, and to communicate with participants, to build followings, and form networks of virtually connecting people. As you see, these are quite strong elements of the new century. We're always talking about the global citizenship and global mind. As you see, when we talk about the global mind, this saying is quite important. Can you see that the ability to communicate with other people from another part of the globe forces people to act locally and think globally? The individual becomes a part of rather than a part of the big picture. We can call this way of life a connected and layered existence. If we carefully follow the communication, conversation, and adherence patterns by members of social networks, it quickly becomes evident that the most members communicate with other members of the same. That this is quite important. This is about the architecture of virtual societies. It says that the virtual societies mostly get together if they are from the same race, same religion, same country, or let's say the members of the same ethnic groups. So they do not want to communicate or interact with the other groups in their virtual societies. And there are some major trends of the global and virtual civilizations. The first one is the invention of the internet triggered the wave of globalization, which eventually led to the global economy and the rise of a new form of secularism, the fate of business. This led to the birth of global civilization with its own forms of religion, society, culture, and infrastructure. And then the global economy via the internet resulted in the rapid growth on a vast scale of the outsourcing of the manufacturing to countries offering cheap labor. Eventually, it led to the minimization of the middle class in the Western civilization and a structural crisis in North America and Europe. The end of Cold War triggered the quest for a world order, and which led to a clash of civilization. And the internet allowed for the development of online communities, which eventually evolved into major social networks like Facebook or Twitter. Their users created a virtual world community, about 100 million, mostly young people, who are developing virtual commonly shared intelligence, knowledge, and wisdom which impact the real world. And the future of the world civilization is not as predictable as it once was. This one is important. Virtuality has led to the rise of what may be labeled as the virtual common mind, the one shared among the e-information world elite. It enhances, shares, and applies common intelligence, information, knowledge, and wisdom. As the last words, this is quite important for the 21st century and its civilization. It took millions of years for the human brain and mind to evolve, but the virtual common mind has just now become active, present in the 21st century for the first time. It gives a huge advantage to those who know how to use it. Previously, the mind has been organized by universities, by accumulated wisdom recorded in publications stored in libraries. Access to the facts, to mankind's accumulated wisdom, was possible but very limited due to the time needed for searching it out. Mostly it was available to export, acquainted with the particle language of specialities. Now, however, this has changed. As you know, only the future will tell us the results of this new virtual mind's contribution to mankind's and its civilization. Thank you for listening to us.